Hello everyone, this is Serious Trivia, as we're featuring the TROM mod for our new Total War 3 Kingdom Let's Play on the channel that's starting tomorrow. It's time to introduce this mod. So TROM stands for the Rule of Might, and if you just search up TROM inside the workshop here, you get a lot of different TROM related mods. But what we want to do is come down here to Pack 1, version 3.9 by Hooverick. So once we click in here, we can see some basic information about the mod, and if we take a closer look, it's an overhaul mod, so it's going to make massive changes to the contents of the game. Characters, units, skills, buildings, reforms, military supplies, all changed, and it's to make the game more immersive, and it's very different from the vanilla experience. For romance mode, generals are weaker. The weapon-based melee hit rate mechanic has been imported, which means that instead of having your character having a default hit rate, each weapon will now have a different value. So Total War 3 Kingdom is quite different from most Total War games in that every character just has a base evasion rate, which kind of determines the hit rate. In this case, we're going to have sort of a differing value based on the weapon. So that's going to be more interesting in terms of which weapon you want to equip on certain characters. You might not care too much about just the raw damage stat, which is the only thing that kind of matters in the base game. Changes for cavalry charge, missile, morale mechanic. There's been many versions of this mod, so we're not going to dig deep into how exactly these have been changed, but we'll make note of that as we play the game. And the second page here is new features. So the MTU mod, which is Make Them Unique, is built in for TROM. So if you install TROM, you have the MTU mod already. You don't need to subscribe to both. There are new unique units for each faction. There are new buildings, assignments, and ancillary items. There are new missions and events in the game. There's new mechanics for the end game. And the Wuxing stats for the characters and the unit recruitment mechanics have been changed. There's going to be easily identifiable unit tier structure instead of having just the militia into the medium to the heavy unit jump, where the heavy unit sometimes just have slightly more armor than the medium tier unit. So that was always a value proposition issue. There's also implementation of regional and character exclusive units. So a little callback to maybe romance or historical references, and something that we definitely want in the game. There are also new unique resources for certain factions. So every faction got slight different overhauls depending on what missions you get, what resource you might have, and so forth. There's a lot of cool pictures of different units being added into the game. You can see them here. Feel free to check them out yourself. And the more important part here is there's different mods you can add on with TROM. So at the base level, you can just have TROM Pack 1, TROM Pack 2. In this order on your mod list before you enter game so that you can run it. But you can also have more advanced versions. So if we look here, this version coming down in order will have the gathering core object, which help you run the events with less bugs. The sandbox allow you to pull up different items using basically console commands. This one I'm not subscribed to. You can see which one I'll be using for the campaign. There is TROM Force Event Trigger. There's events in the game that has certain time limit, and it might not trigger. Here, once it reaches the end of the time frame, it will automatically trigger. So a lot of the more historical reference to romance events will always trigger. The base pack 1, base pack 2. There's some altering by death by old age, because there are some characters that live way too long. And there's also modifications to blood and battle camera, which I'm not subscribing to because that's not really central to the game in my opinion. And there's even a more advanced version where you can implement more characters to the game. So in this case, you can add the Puzzle 3D mod, which is a 3D modeling of characters added by the Puzzle mod. Puzzle mod is only for illustration, so only the 2D art are updated. This adds new 3D models for those illustrations. It's very ambitious. I'm actually kind of worried that it might crash the game, so I'm not going to use it. I don't need to see every character as unique. It's nice to see the portrait. And we are different generals, and puzzle mod both add more character art into the game so that you don't have generic officers. The rest are the same: TROM Force Event Trigger, TROM Pack 1, Pack 2, and the 3 at the end. And you can see this is going to be pretty much what I'm going to be running. Core object to make sure the game runs well. I'm going to be adding weird different generals and puzzle illustrations for more artwork. Force Event Trigger, Pack 1, Pack 2, and that's it. And you want them in this load order on your mod list before you enter game so things will work correctly. One additional thing, TROM only works for the default art, which is the minimalistic art, the faceless ones, which I typically use. If you prefer to use the alternative art, it's not supported by TROM, so you might run into problems there. But I think the minimalistic ink art is better anyways, so this is what we'll be running. Hopefully this gives you a good overview of how to set up your game so that you can play along as we will start our Yuan Shao campaign 190 using this mod tomorrow. So until then, bye!